The William Street Pumping Station is an architectural landmark of Uptown Waterloo and a symbol of the region's innovation and industrious spirit. Built in 1899 as the site of the first groundwater wells in Waterloo, it provided access to a clean, reliable water supply and contributed greatly to the social welfare of the community. A point of pride for those who work to protect and provide water for our booming municipality, William Street Pumping Station is a reminder of the parts we all play in protecting the community's public health.
It's very important symbolically for me because of the history that goes with it. It's over 100 years old. The building itself is gorgeous. It's just a beautiful architectural feature. The windows are beautiful. The inside with the old diesel engine that's in there, as you'll see, is spectacular. I've been with REACH for 26 years. So I started in 1994. Seems like a long time ago. So hydrogeology and source water, it's two parts. So the hydrogeology is understanding how the water moves beneath our feet in the ground. The source water is working with everything above the surface. So it's dealing with farmers, it's dealing with businesses, it's dealing with municipalities on how their activities could impact the drinking water supplies. 1898. So that's when the William Street building was built. It was built as the pumping station to serve the town of Waterloo. 10 years prior to that, the city of Waterloo had, or the town of Waterloo at the time, had a contract with the city of Berlin, Kitchener to the south, to supply water, but they were unsatisfied with the quality of the water, so they commissioned the construction of this building in 1898, and it has been an operating water supply facility ever since. The original pumping station is just the eastern part of the property, not the western. The western part was added at some point afterwards. The operator, the manager of the original pumping station, lived in the house behind it, and there was a gate that connected that property to this property so that he could do any immediate repairs that he felt he needed to do if something was failing, check on switches or pumps that weren't working, start pumps probably back in that day. It was designated in 1989. It's designated because the brick and the building structure itself resemble the period of which they're trying to record its history. The windows, the upper edging of the brickwork would all be part and parcel of that designation. So, I think that any type of drinking water supply, centralized drinking water supply, would really be a benefit to people wanting to start a business, because they would know that they would have a guaranteed water supply operated by someone else to keep it safe, to keep the water amount there that they needed to run their factory. So people would start to consider coming to this location because of the drinking water supply system. And certainly at the turn of the century, that's when a lot of the growth was happening in Kitchener and Waterloo and Cambridge. And so that became a strong nucleus for people coming to the community and wanting to set up their businesses and live here. The fact that we had pressurized water system for fighting fires, for the drinking water supply, and for water for the business was a strong driver for people coming to Uptown Waterloo. Well, right now it is an active supply source. There are 5 municipal wells on the property. They all pump water into the central building where it is pumped through, it's treated in terms of disinfection to keep the water safe as it's going through the distribution pipes. And then it's pumped out into the reservoir at the corner of the property and then out into the distribution from there. 2012 or so, which recommended moving the treatment from this building and consolidating it with another treatment plant in Kitchener. So the pipelines have been constructed to the new treatment plant in Kitchener, which is being built now. In 2023, they'll move to this property where they will decommission the treatment component and the reservoir component. But the original building will stay. It has its historic recognition, so we can't really touch that. This will continue to be an active water supply facility because we still have these wells. They will still be here. We still need to maintain and monitor them and rehabilitate and repair them. Part of my vision is to create more public access to this facility. I feel that it resonates with the community. It's right opposite Waterloo City Hall and a regional building. It has great central Uptown Waterloo placement. I feel it could be part of a broader strategy to get people to come in here in a park-like setting. It has been included, the properties have been included in the Uptown Waterloo Public Realm strategy, so there is that vision to provide more access to it. However, at the same time, it is still an operating drinking water supply facility, so it won't be a complete 360-degree access to everything. Well, part of protecting the supply is being able to communicate the challenges or what it is and why we need to think about it differently than the water that's flowing down through Laurel Creek or the water in the Grand River that we like to paddle on. We don't have underground rivers here. So we've got 130 municipal supply wells all total within the region. We are unique in Southern Ontario. We are the largest community in Ontario that relies on almost 100% groundwater, probably the largest in Canada in terms of population to use that amount of water for groundwater supply. The thing that most people don't recognize about groundwater, it's everywhere beneath our feet. So the drinking water that we consume is derived partly from the rain that's falling on the ground here and partly from the rain that's falling on the ground, say, in the western or northwest edges of Waterloo and up into Wilmot Township. So one of the things we have to think about when we as humans on the ground surface is how those activities can impact the drinking water supply or the groundwater beneath our feet. And it's in a number of ways. It's the chemicals we handle and put on the ground. We have to think about spills. So spills generally get cleaned up pretty quickly, but if they don't, they can become legacy sites for chemical contamination of the drinking water supplies. And then the last sort of main activity you can think about that affects the drinking water supply is the application of winter de-icing salts, so road salts. It's the amount of salt we're putting on the roads to keep us safe when we're driving in the winter. But all of that salt has to go somewhere, and it either goes into surface water or it infiltrates into the ground. And the problem with it infiltrating into the ground is that it moves very slowly. The water from the point at which it might enter the groundwater system at the north end of Waterloo, the northwest corner of Waterloo, could take over 100 years to actually be pumped out of this drinking water supply well here. What we're putting on the ground now, its full extent hasn't even made it into the drinking water supply system yet. We won't see that for another number of years.